So welcome. I'm so excited to be here. It's my first time mentoring, but I've been doing some research and paying attention to previous cohorts to kind of learn and grow. So we're kind of learning together. Definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like Stacy said, be extra loud. That's a great way to learn from each other in that way. So we're going to do intros, and I'm going to paste a little format. I know we've done some intros in the orientations that we haven't met together as a group. So it'd be great that we can get a sense of where everybody is so that we could be sensitive to each other's time zone and schedule. So your location, your pronouns, and then share a little bit about yourself and also what you like to do in your spare time, because, you know, we are more than just what we do for, you know, occupation wise. And then once you do your intro, you just pick somebody else and to go next. So I can start. I am located in San Ramon. It's San Ramon, California. It's right outside of San Francisco. My pronoun is she, her. So for me, I've been lucky to break into tech a long time ago during my college days. And I've been in and out of tech, so I can definitely speak about burnout, the issues of being in tech, and also the great things about being in tech. Definitely, if you want to have questions about those, I'll be happy to talk about those. And most of my experience is front end heavy. I really love the front end. In my spare time, I love to make things. I'm a maker. I love to make pottery. I love to make cook things. And it's also why I do front end development, because, you know, functional art is just so great. So that's me. So next is Lauren.
Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here. I was in the TCL 10 group, so we started in last August, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to be back as an assistant mentor this time. I'm based in Washington, D.C. Well, Washington, D.C. area. I'm technically in Maryland, but we just say DC. My pronouns are she, her, and aside from being in tech, I'm a bassoonist. So I have a bassoon quartet called the Breaking Winds. It's really fun, and I really love traveling with them. Yeah, and let's see. In my spare time, aside from doing those things, I also really like playing with my really naughty but fun cats. They're a handful, but they're great, and traveling, of course. So I will pass it to Anna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ana. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And let's see, what else can I tell you guys? I used to be in advertising, so that was a big chunk of my professional career, like nearly 10 years. And then I had this huge existential crisis where I didn't want to do that anymore. And I wanted to do something that was new and exciting, and it meant something to me. And it had more of a creative aspect, but also I could feel like I was really building something and putting something out there, which was something I didn't really feel with advertising. I just felt like I was selling soap. So I really didn't want to do that anymore. So I began learning about tech, and I fell in love with front end. I really, really enjoy building pretty screens. And that's it. Let's see, what do I like doing? I like running, I like cooking, I like playing with my dog. And I apologize because at some point he's gonna start barking, because he does that and it's super loud, and I'll try to mute so you guys don't have to hear it. That's it. And next up is Jessica.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jessica Woudsma. My pronouns are she, her. I am born and raised in Minnesota and currently living in Minneapolis. Been here for this time around about 4 years or so. And before I started pursuing the tech thing, I did farming for about 4 or 5 years, working with some local farmers doing that thing. And I loved it, but then it suddenly clicked in my head that my body isn't going to be able to handle that for my whole life. And farming doesn't pay much. And I got sick of that. So I was working at a co-op and ended up in the admin department doing scanning, and we did a lot of database work. And I was writing SQL queries without realizing that's what I was doing. I was just being given these scary numbers and symbols and told to do it exactly that way, or I could destroy the whole database. So that was fun. But then I found out about one of the boot camps in the area, did that, and now I'm just kind of getting the ball rolling with finding a first job in tech during COVID. So, but yeah, I like the front end. I'm interested in learning more back end. I feel like I'm so new that I can't really place myself in a spot, but I'm aiming front end for now because it's just, I wanted to get a handle on HTML and CSS and really just kind of understand those building blocks myself. So anyway, in my spare time, I like to go for walks and be outside as much as possible, do wild food foraging, go up to my dad's a lot and just be in nature. It's been really nice. So yeah, but other than that, next, let's meet, is it Zenzi? Is that how to pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, Zenzi is exactly right. Thank you. I am Zenzi. I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast of the US. My pronouns are she and her. A little bit about me. I started my career as an executive assistant. And while I was there, I was also doing a lot of database centric stuff, a lot of queries and running macros. And that was the part of the job that I enjoyed the most. Took a 14-year break to raise my children. And when I returned, I realized that I was going to need some reskilling, and I needed to start thinking about something that was viable in the long term. And I kind of came back to the things that I enjoyed and decided to enroll in the boot camp. While I was there, I went full stack, but I really enjoyed the back end more. Mostly because the way that a boot camp teaches React, or at least my boot camp teaches React, is not necessarily enjoyable. It can be very, very stressful. And I'm hoping that in this experience, I grow to just enjoy working in React again and work with a team, which is nice because I went to boot camp in isolation as well. And haven't had spare time in the last year or two. But, you know, I would like to learn to knit. I like those, there's called urugumi. They're like little Japanese style mini monsters that you can make when you're knitting and crocheting. I'd like to learn to make those when I have more time. And I'm gonna pass it to James.
Hey, I am James. I am currently living in Austin, Texas. We moved here about a year ago. We love it. Haven't been able to do too much because of the pandemic and everything. But we're originally from Tennessee. Let's see. So I am a he, him, and a his. And I got into tech a few years ago. I was in restaurant management. And my wife at the time was also in retail management. So we were both working like 60 hours a week, nights and weekends. And we both realized that we got to do something about this. So she got a job working for WeWork, and which was, it helped our lifestyle a lot. But they at the time owned a company called Flatiron. And that is the boot camp that I went to. But I didn't know anything about tech, but I knew I needed to change. They offered like a 2-hour free intro course on, I think it was basic Ruby, like the most basic stuff. And I did that and I was like, I love it. When I first saw something on the screen that I in the command line, I was like, what? I was like, that's it. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I went to Flatiron and I got my certificate there, and that was last March, in March 2020. And I've been trying to find a job ever since. Just it's been tough with the pandemic and everything, but I love what I do. I just build. I nonstop just create things. And when I got accepted to the Collab lab, and I had no expectation to do it, I just filled. A friend's like, you should try this. I filled out the thing, and I'm so happy to be here because I've never been able to work in a production environment, and I'm just really excited. What do I like to do in my spare time? I'm big into music and soccer. I would call those my two favorite passions. I miss playing on a team. I can't wait till everything opens up again so I can do that. And my new puppy hates guitar, so I haven't been able to play guitar for a while either. But he hates it. He's like, oh, I gotta go. I'm like, so, and that's me. Is that everyone? Have I not gotten, well, maybe Juliana?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Juliana. I am located in South America. I use they, them pronouns. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Canada. Well, like my family's from South America. I grew up in Canada, so I'm like really connected to the immigrant experience. I started learning to program about almost 5 years ago. I went to university for communication and political science, and I had like these big dreams of being like CJ Craig from the West Wing. But then I realized that getting into political communication is way harder than just getting a degree. So I worked in marketing for about the first 5 years of my career, and I had this like dream of being independent and just like working with like small business clients and being like, I can do everything. Like I can do your social media, your PR, and then like on top of it I was like, I should learn to program so that I can be like, and I'll do your website. So I started learning programming for that, and same as you, James, like the first few moments that I started like making things and seeing them on screen and like getting things to work, I was like, no, you know what, I actually want to just do this part. Screw the marketing part, I just want the programming. So I took 9 months off work, had like used all my savings to like survive on those 9 months, and taught myself to program online. And I was really fortunate. The place where I live has like a really active tech community. So learned through there. And what I like to do in my spare time, I like volunteering on these types of things. I learned to code basically online with like the generosity of strangers. So I'm really interested in giving back and helping people find those first jobs in tech. So I do a lot of stuff like this. I also organize, excuse me, some communities where I live, and I don't know, I'm bugging my cats, I'll say. I really like my cats and I like to bug them. Oh, I will take this time because I'm gonna hop off after this. So the reason why I'm here today is because I wanted to meet y'all. I'm the code of conduct responder for your cohort. So I won't actually be in these kinds of meetings from now on, but I just wanted y'all to get to know me. I wanted to get to know you guys. The code of conduct team is really dedicated, and the whole TCL team as a whole is really dedicated to making sure that these are safer spaces. So we assign a code of conduct responder to each cohort. You can message me, make sure that you read the code of conduct, that you know that like what is expected from our community. And if you have any questions about it, message me. If you ever feel like something happened and you don't want to, I always encourage you, if you can, talk to the person. Having hard conversations with people is a really interesting part of this job. Take it from a woman who works in tech. But if for any reason at all you don't want to speak directly to that person, or you think it's like a much bigger issue, definitely reach out to me or anybody else on the team. But we're here to make sure that your experience at the TCL is the most comfortable it can for you, and that nothing about you makes the experience worse for you. And I will be scheduling. So after week 2, once you're all settled in, I'll reach out to schedule one-on-one talks just to say hi, see how things are, and we can talk if you have any things come up in that time. So yeah.
Thank you. I guess we can move on to the Git presentation, the learning module.
I'll hop out then. Bye all.
Hi, Stacy. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so here we are. So we're going to cover how to get, let me see. Get rid of my screen and then present. Okay, how to get a GitLab. So we're going to cover creating and switching branches and staging changes. So these are the commands right next to there. So Git Checkout, Git Ad. Some of this may be review for you, but we just want to make sure that we go through this. And then saving changes in history, which is Git commit, is you save it locally and it doesn't get sent to GitHub until you do Git Push. And then the other one is before you start, when you create a branch, before you start work, you will want to do a Git Pull to make sure you have the latest. And then getting your changes into main this is where we will be creating PRs, and we'll go more into that as in this presentation. So some of the terms that we should cover: a repository is a collection of files and they're one source control like Git. So this is our project. And then remote is where places like GitHub will hold our repo. So what you work on locally, you can do a lot of changes. You can create whatever branches. It's like your playground. So even if you say mess up in a branch, it's okay. You can maybe throw away that branch and then grab the main branch and then start over. So there's a lot of ways to code, and you can make mistakes and it's all good. So that's where the branch is. The working copy of your repo. The main branch is the source of truth. So then this is the reason why we don't push to the main branch and we create branches, and then we use Git to do the merge after pull requests. And a commit is when you it's a set of changes to the repo. Head refers to the last commit that has been done. A pull request, it documents how and why changes should merge with main. This is very specific to GitHub. You may see in GitLab, it will be a different phrasing. It's merge request, but it's similar concept. Here is animation of how, like, the different branches. So you do your initial commit, you do your changes in add button, you create a branch. Hold on. There's the initial commit, you add it, you add your styles, and then you add your tests. And then somebody else do, let's say, an update text change. And then you merge your branch, and then that's how it flows. So we're going to go more in depth about each of the commands. So branching, when you do a Git checkout, it's to use the -B option. Is when you create your own branch, you can do whatever changes you want. You can play. There are times where, when I'm working on a feature branch and it gets really unwieldy, or when you're doing research, you can create a whole new branch and play. You make any changes to your working branch and it won't affect the remote project until you push it up. So definitely use the -B flag to get that going. Git Add is when you add your staging. So you do a Git Add. The -A is for all files. So there are different variations to this. Sometimes I do a dot, which is everything in the current directory, or you can do a star, which is same thing as all the files. Other times I would, so in relation to this, every time before you do a commit or anything, I usually do a git status to see what stage. I have accidentally pushed files that I didn't want to push, and that's okay. You can remove it. It's just something to check so that you don't end up, because it can be really confusing. So git commit. This is where you would take your stage changes and commit them to Git, and this creates a saved record of changes to the code base. So when you do a commit, there are different ways to add a message. So the git-m is to put in an inline message on what you want to put. So usually I would phrase it as, present tense verb, do this, right? So update heading text, or add features. Sometimes it's like, adding feature, and then, and then doing A is doing it inline, you stage and you track the files at the same time. I definitely recommend doing each step separately so that you don't get confused or adding a lot of things that shouldn't be added. And then Git Push is when you submit your things up to the remote destination, which is GitHub, right? So when you do a Git Push you origin and your feature, this is when things gets added to GitHub and everybody can see your branch and see the changes. So sometimes it's okay to do, it doesn't have to be completely perfect before you push. There are times where in the past where I'm working on a feature branch and I needed help, and a senior developer would be like, oh, what do you have so far? Can you push your local branch so that they can pull it down to their machine and run it and get a sense of what I'm building, and then give me direct feedback. And this thing can, a lot of times it's a back and forth thing, and it's a good way to work with somebody else, especially when you're trying to troubleshoot something that is really difficult. So with your pairing, I think this kind of concept will work too, where you're creating your branch, you push what you have so far, so that your teammate can pull it down in their local environment and they can test it. Let's see. And then next is Git Pull, and this is where I talked about earlier, where every single time you check out main branch, your local main branch needs to be updated, so that you don't have merge conflicts. So a good habit is to Git Checkout main, you pull the latest, and then you merge it back to your local branch. And we can talk more about that. I think we can talk more about that in later. And then pull requests. So here, once you push your local branch up, you can create a new pull request from either here or here. I also noticed when you first push it up, GitHub shows you, oh, this is your new branch. Do you want to create a new pull request? Merge conflicts. So merge conflicts seems really scary, but it's okay to, it's not a big deal. You just need to slowly resolve through and look through the different changes. So the things to look for when you see a merge conflict, in the terminal, it would tell you which file. Like up here, you see that the particular file So you open up your file in VS Code, and you want to look for these kind of texts that are wrapping around it. So the head, the current change, and then the incoming change. And you can either accept it, accept both, or just you can manually change it yourself. And once you're done, you would stage it again and commit it. Let's see. And then here's a helpful guide for you. I'll share these slides afterwards so that you can go into this article and read about it. I think Stacy wrote this one. And definitely if if the conflicts are too unwieldy and it gets kind of scary, what you can do is, speak up, ask questions in our Slack channel, and then we'll jump on the screen sharing and help walk you through it. And it's always the best when you have a second set of eyes to help you look through this sometimes, especially the first time. So here are some resources that you can look. I always Google Google everything, and even for me, it's something I don't memorize. I mean, we have our brain cells that are better used for other things, right? So a lot of times I Google, check these, and just the exact syntax. It's a good thing to do, and definitely lean on each other to help work through some of these conflicts. Okay, so that's the end of the slide. I can take any questions if you all have questions.
The only question I had, the only thing I haven't seen yet is when you were talking about the commit part with AM. What's -am do again?
So I think AM is adding the file and a message, so it combines all in one time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that if you have like a big feature and a lot of files.
Right.
One thing, I always do a Git Add and then a Git status to see what is staged.
Right.
A lot of times if you end up, especially if you're working on a feature for a while and there are test files that you're experimenting with and you end up adding a lot of that stuff, it can be confusing for other people. I mean, at the end of the day, you can always change it, right? Like you can always come back and remove it. There are many times I leave comments in there, and after a pull request, I always look at my pull request as well as I come back, and then I would notice the changes for myself and be like, oh, there's comments there. I go back and delete it. So it's more of like a managing thing. Yeah, Git status is your friend or it's my friend. So I'm hoping it's your friend as well. Especially if you're joining, like you're joining a new team, right? And especially as someone who's new, you don't want to make mistakes. So a lot of times it's just an extra little step to help yourself, and you're gaining confidence in that as well as like you recognize it. But if it's like a quick change where is one file, not a big deal, then definitely do the shorter cut if you feel comfortable. It's more of choose things that help you be careful with code is what I recommend. Any other questions?
I was just wondering if there's any reason why the flow is not forking the repository and then having a branch and then opening pull requests. Is there any reason why we do it without forking?
Sure. So for forking is normally for when you're working with an open source project where you actually where you're not given the permission and there's extra checks in place. And it's also a more complicated flow. But for Collab Lab and usually in organization, you're given you're part of the team. You have team permissions. So then it's just easy to pull and work from and push with forking is usually for, open source. I'm not sure if any of you have done open source yet, is you fork it, so you make a complete copy and you create branches from there and you push from there. So it's an extra check. And there's you also need to define where your upstream is, because when you push your local branch from a fork file, it goes straight up to the GitHub in your account, your fork copy. And then from there, it needs to go to the open sources repository, right? So there's that extra step that as an open source and maintainer, it protects their code. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Great. Any other questions? All clear? I think one thing in the Git presentation is there isn't a Git merge. So I do want to clarify that, say, when you're, let's say you've been working on, I may have to like do this in office hours and really show you, or once you get started, it'll become clear. So let's say if you've been working on your feature branch for a while, and the other team is also working on their branch, and the other team have already pushed their code and merged to main. So now your feature branch is it's a little behind from main. So there may be conflict with the main branch, and sometimes you may need certain things that your other team have pushed to the main branch. So sometimes what you do is you switch to your main branch, you Git pull the latest, and then you switch back to your local feature branch and you do a Git merge of the main branch into your branch as you're working, as a way to get your latest. I'm hoping I'm making, I'm not confusing you in that it's clear. We can step through that process when we get there. Yeah. Cool.
That makes sense.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, one thing that I learned from a hackathon actually, but they recommended for commit messages to do something like a verb and then just to describe what you did. So if you just follow that, before that, I think we would just sometimes write like testing, or well, I guess that's a verb, but test or button test or something. But if you make yourself do some kind of verb of what you completed, it helps keep everything consistent.
What I've heard people describe is completing a sentence. This update will, and then complete that. This will adds a feature. This will, so that's what I've heard people tell me how to describe a commit message is completing the sentence. This will, and then whatever from there. So that's how I've been using my commit messages. That's sort of formula.
Yeah, I could speak on that too, where depending on certain organizations, there's a template. When you bring it up, that kind of stuff can be configured and things will pop up and there will be comments to guide you through that. So definitely when you join an organization, ask, but at the basic level now, definitely the verb and do something. And then try to keep it concise, because then if it's too long, and if you look in GitHub, when you look at a list of commits, you want to be able to see quickly, add this feature or blah, blah, blah. Some places will actually attach a little flag in the front where it's like, it's a feature, it's a refactor effort, or it's a bug. And that is very organizational, depending on the team. But concise and clear, help yourself, like phrase it in a way where your future self is going to come back and be like, yes, because definitely you will forget what you've done. I have many times I come back and go, oh, I'm the one who did this commit. So that's a good way to search that out.
I
Yeah.
have a quick question. During the orientation, they said that there was also a format they wanted us to use, I think. But I don't
Sure.
remember if it was for the commits or
Yeah, so the format that everybody should follow is for the pull request. And yeah, it's for the pull request. So when you, let me try to look
have some,
for it. I think,
Yeah, I have some pulled up if you want me to, I can show.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So I thought I'd show you guys an example. Okay. So this is a blank pull request that usually if there are no conflicts, it will say it can merge, but I chose two random branches that I don't intend to merge just for the purpose of showing this. So there's a really nice handy template that Stacy set up, and it makes it so that the PRs are both consistent and very clean to read. So when you go to make your PR, your pull request, it will look like this. And it's basically in Markdown. And then you can, so you can go through and see that there's a description where you'll write what you worked on. It helps the other team like know what to look for. There will also be related issues. So you'll want to tag the issue you worked on so someone can quickly see what you were working on. And it's just if you put the hashtag or the number sign here with the related issue, then it'll link to it. The acceptance criteria, which we'll talk through in a second, but basically what the issue says is needed in order to pass the acceptance criteria and therefore be merged. And then there's this nice little box where you can update what type of fix you did. Honestly, I think it just adds color, but it looks nice. And then finally, especially if you're doing UI stuff, which most of these will be, a couple backend things like with Firestore will not, but if you're switching any UI things, it's nice to take a screenshot before and after so that you can see the difference. So as you're writing your PRs, you can test what they'll look like here. And then this is a sample. So this is one we built where we just had a description of everything we were working on. Yeah, again, if you write this here, it'll link to, link to the issue. This stuff you can copy over right from the little ticket. This is how we were updating our styling. And then at the bottom, it's important here too, is enter any testing steps so that someone else can easily test what you're working on. And that way, it just makes it so much easier for it to be moved along. Okay, so Yanli, is it okay if I move on to show the issues, or did you want to say anything else first?
Yeah, it's okay to move on to issues.
Any questions? Cool. Oh, and one other thing, when you are making these, you can add reviewers up here. So you can add all of us at once, or you can add just the other team first, since the workflow will be have the other pair review it and then have mentors review it. But you can tag them this way to get emails so that they know that there's a review, something that they should review. And you can also tag them in Slack just to make sure that there's a quick turnaround. Okay, so for the first week, the issues, the very first issue is related to Firestore. So first we just want to get hooked up to Firestore, and it's pretty simple, but there's 3 acceptance criteria listed. So first you want to add dependencies to the project for Firebase and the Firebase React hooks. And then you want to be able to, once you're hooked up, you need to be able to make a change in the Firestore that's reflected in our front end, and then also make a change in your app or the front end and see the update in Firestore. The next issue is, as a user, I want to be able to navigate between the list view and the add item view so that the interface is clearly delineated between viewing and adding. And so for this one, you need to add React Router DOM as a dependency. you need to have links present and persistent at the bottom. So kind of like a bottom nav bar. And then when one of the links is clicked, the browser URL updates to represent that view and the matching component is displayed. And then whichever view is selected, the corresponding link should be displayed in bold. So one quick, it's not exactly a warning, but basically try to hold back from doing too much in these issues, especially in the beginning, because the styling and everything will be added later. And really we're trying to get like the workflow going. So try to resist being an overachiever and going past these tickets. And also there are so you might do some work that has to be undone later. So resist the urge. But yeah, are there any tickets that someone would like to do?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we should, so yeah, we should remind everybody. So I think this week's pairing partner is, I think Anna and James, you're pairing together this coming week for this issue. And then the other team is Zenzi and Jessica. So you can decide among yourself which ones you want to pick up, and then we can add you as we'll assign the issues to you in that way.
Any preferences? Really into Firestore, really into React Router DOM?
So just so I'm super clear, when we are in our group, like me and Anna, we'll each work on the same issue, or we'll each work on a separate issue?
Yeah, so go ahead, Yanli.
Go ahead. You will pair together on the same issue. So
Okay.
you'll be working on the branch. So pairing is very important. This is why we're here. So together you own this project, you're gonna create a branch and pair on it.
Got it.
Yeah, and just for, I mean, there's many different ways to every team's different, but for mine, what worked really well is we usually got together on Monday or Tuesday and did 2 or 3 hour chunks with our partner.
Yeah.
If there were little things we needed to finish, we might say, okay, I can add this little button myself or something like that. But usually we did most of the chunk together, and we tried to have our PRs ready for Tuesday or Wednesday. And you can even start your PR before you're finished. And then as you make as you push to your branch, it will continue to update the PR, and that can help. Let's say something's taking you a little while, you can share it with the mentors and they can see your progress. So if you guys are interested in doing that, that's something you can do. And then we tried to have both teams review it by Wednesday night or Thursday so that then the mentors could do it.
Okay. Do you recommend playing to your strengths or pushing yourself? Like I'm really comfortable with React Router DOM and all that. So should I take that on, or do we want to try to push ourselves and do the other? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Go ahead, Lauren.
I would say push yourself if this is the place to do it. So
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I can speak on that. Like, definitely, this is a safe place. You're going to be supported. There's no right or wrong. And you know, I would push myself to do something uncomfortable because this is a safe place to do it. If you don't want to, that's also okay. So definitely decide based on what you feel comfortable with.
Right. I mean, and obviously we'll take into account, you know, what our pairing partner is wants. But I was just curious. I was just curious if, you know, if the Collab Lab had like a cultural sort of like stance on that, you know. So
any opinions on what you would like to do?
I like this issue better, the one with the screens, because I don't know anything about Firebase. But if James wants to tackle the other one, that's okay with me.
let's do this one. Let's do with the React Router DOM. We'll take issue 2.
there will be other Firebase and Firestore ones, so there will definitely be a chance for you to do that. And we switch partners every week, so you'll do a little round robin.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
also,
great.
part of this experience is also, you know, doing research. So a lot of times we recommend front loading your work in the beginning of the week. Do your research, try at it. And if you're having issues, definitely be loud in Slack, ask for help. And we are having office hours, right? So even if you don't solve it by the middle of the week, it's okay, because we structure office hours to step in and help. And this is the part about leveraging the other team to help you as well.
Okay, great. And then so Senzi and Jessica, are you guys okay with this one?
I'm good with either. Yeah. Zenzi, do you have a strong preference?
I'm happy to work with the Firebase ticket.
All right, let's take it.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you guys, again, if you need help, we have some helpful links too, but sometimes it's good to just start peeking in yourselves first to give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And then I think Yanli, I believe the last thing is that we want to make sure that they have their branches set up. So should we walk through that and see if there's volunteers?
Sure. Yeah, so we want each of you to, let me look at this, create your local branch. So one person from each team, if you want to, let me know which one of you want to step through and do it.
I can do it, Anna, or you can do it. Either way, I've got it pulled up right here.
James can go.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so
James, can you share your
so
screen?
if you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So I've got it pulled up here. I'm seated into the main branch. Just make sure that's true.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me share the project brief in how we want to structure the naming of the branch.
Okay.
So if we scroll down to development process, the way you want to create your branch is the initial of the first person dash the initial of the second person dash, and then a short description. So if you're doing the first issue, I think is creating routes.
Okay.
So after that reminder, okay.
So we want to do, oops, nope, not that. We want to do so we want to do, and then here's what is that we're creating the branch now? Okay. So
hold on.
I'm not doing anything
Pause a
yet.
minute. So have you pulled the latest from main? The main branch.
I'm pretty positive, but do you just do Git Pull main? Is that right? Or
yes.
okay. Oh nope. I've always done it with the link. The only way I've ever done this before is with the the full address.
Okay. Can you do Git branch so I know what branch you're in?
Oh. Okay.
Okay, just Git Pool, I think.
Okay.
There you go. So now you have the latest. So this is, yeah. So now you have the latest. Now you can do the Git Checkout.
And is our first initial, so like me, and then dash. Okay.
And then
AR.
And then dash. And then you could say, I think the first issue is create routes.
Does that look good? Okay.
Yeah.
And now we're in it. So
yeah. So now you have a branch, and I think what we need to do, trying to remember. So now that you created, you need to push it up so that your partner can pull it down. So you want to do a Git push -u.
That's it?
No, Git push -u origin. and then your branch name.
Okay, that's fun.
Mhm. And there it goes. So now the new branch is up on GitHub.
I need to get
Mhm.
into that. So we'll go take a look at it.
Sure. I think there we go.
Nice.
Yeah. So now I think you can stop sharing screen, and Anna can share her screen, and I want to make sure that you're able to pull down that branch.
Cool.
I just have to change my system preference because Zoom is yelling at me. Okay, did that work?
I see. Yes, I see your screen.
Okay. And now I have to pull
Mhm.
the branch, right?
Mhm. So what you do is you do a Git Pull just to get everything from GitHub. Oh, it looks like you may have some local changes. Would you do a Git status? Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Can I just revert that?
Yeah, you can do a Git Stash to stash it away for later. Okay, now do a Git Pool. Huh.
Is it okay to ask? I've seen Git Stash in a while, but I don't understand what is it. It saves it locally, but then what does it do next?
Git Stash is it's a temporary shelf. So you're like, oh, I have some work in progress stuff. I save it there, and it can be, you can keep stacking to that. And when you do, I think it's a Git Stash list or something, it'll show you the different stacking, and you can grab whichever one that you decide to bring back. So a lot of times if I make a lot of mistakes, or if something I'm just thinking about experimenting, but I don't want to do a commit, then I throw it there. And then when you do a Git Stash apply, it applies the last one that you stash. But if you want a particular version, you can find the ID and then apply that one.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
thanks.
Git Slash tells you which ones. Yeah. So I think it's okay. We may need to look at some of the warning stuff, but I think it's okay. So now, now Anna, try to switch to the branch. So do a Git Checkout. You don't need a B because now you're not creating a branch. You can just try to switch to that particular branch.
What was the name?
I think create routes.
Create.
There we go. So now you're in that branch.
Right.
So yeah, so I think you're good. We should switch to the other team. Who would like to create the branch?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. I no, I don't think it's gonna let me. Let me see if it lets me without shutting down, or I'm leaving Zoom. Otherwise I'll let. Okay. I think that it did. Okay. So I'm just up to date.
Mhm.
And this is Git Checkout is next.
Git Checkout dash lowercase b, and then the your initial dash Jessica's initial.
Okay.
Oh, no quotes, no quotes. Yeah, hyphen.
Hyphen.
Mhm.
And Jessica, your last initial was
W.
W?
Yep.
Okay.
Dash, you could say connect Firebase.
Sorry, it froze up on me.
You're doing
Thanks.
fine. Hyphen.
Hyphen, sure.
Hyphen. Yeah.
It gets mad at you if you have a space. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enter.
Ooh.
Great. So now
Okay.
you want to push your local branch up to GitHub so that Jessica can pull down. So the Git Push -u space origin space your branch name and oh, there we go. Great. So now Jessica can share her screen and see if you can pull down that branch.
Sure. All right.
All right, here. So share screen. Oh my gosh, I have so many screens. I haven't done a share screen before. I'm like a super new Zoom person when it comes to this. So there we go. Open system preferences, because I have all these silly things.
So this is the space for us to practice this and be prepared for a job interview. Because a lot of this will come up again. I can definitely speak on that. And even for demoing and working with teams. So a lot of times when we say have your system ready for screen sharing, is I usually start with a very clean desktop or just certain things so that it'll help with this process.
For sure, for sure. Okay, let's see. Sorry, everyone.
No worries, no worries.
Okay. Clock. Zoom will not be able to record the contents of your screen until you quit. It's telling me to leave the meeting and come back to make my share screen work. So I'll just do that.
My screen did the same thing, and I just canceled.
Okay.
Like I didn't leave the meeting, and once I put my password in, it still allowed me to. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
There we go. It happened. Thank you. All right, so I am currently CD'd into the shopping list. So I want to do a Git Pull, correct?
Yes. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you see the 2 branches. Great.
Yep. So I want to go ahead and CD into my branch with Zenzi.
No. So for when you want to switch branches, you do a Git Checkout. So CD is more a file system thing, but for Git is Git Checkout. So Git Checkout space branch name.
Then enter.
Yep.
All right.
And you're in. Yeah, so you're in the branch, so you can work in here. One other thing that I don't think we talked about, or I want to make sure we cover, is with pull requests. It's a good idea to create a draft pull request when you start your work, so then you can leave comments. Wonder if I can do a demo of that real quick, because I want to make sure we cover that. So, okay, let me share my screen and create a, so here when you, so you could do it from this area, or you could do it in, let me see if there are different ways to create a pull request. So I'm just going to use this as an example, and I can delete that later. So here, when you're in your branch, you can do a pull request here. So I'm going to do a draft pull request. And this is how you can organize your work and communicate your work for other people to understand. I think it's also leaving comments for yourself. Seems like I'm not able to create a pull request.
I think it's just actually here, go to the top and switch instead of main. Have it I think actually it's because none of them have changes, so that's why you can't make. I had to choose 2 ugly branches in order to fake the pull request. Yeah.
Oh, I see. This is all brand new. Actually, let me go to my example. So one thing, this is my GitHub. So one thing I did is, in preparation for this cohort, I built this smart shopping app on my own just for fun. And but I haven't had any changes either.
Do you want me to show something again? I have those.
Yeah, sure. Let me stop sharing.
Stop it. There we go. Let me just pull this up. But what did you want to say about it? I'm sorry, what part of, what did you want me to pull up with the pull request?
I just want to show them how to create a draft PR, a draft pull request.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you create that, and then we want to give the PR a meaningful name on the top. I think you can delete this, yeah?
Yep.
While she's doing that, is that template in every one that you create automatically, or did you add that?
Yes, they added this for us. So yeah, this template you guys will see.
Nice.
I believe this defaults to some of the most recent commit messages, but yeah, you can add something like, normally I think we do something like issue number 1, you know, connect Firestore complete, something like that.
Yeah. Lauren, would you press the create pull request? We can always delete it afterwards. So yeah, so one thing is it's helpful to create this draft pull request, and as you're working, you can add comments or things as you're doing research to help the other team understand what you're doing. So one thing is, let's say the team that's working on Firebase, it requires some research and some testing. So as you're doing some research, this is where you communicate with the other team some of the thought process that you're thinking about, and something for you to come back to as well. So it's definitely recommended to create this draft PR and add comments as you're working along. It also gives us mentor an insight in how you're coming along as well with the issue. Does that make sense? I'm making sure that I'm communicating that right.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I picked an old one just so you guys could see some of the different
Any questions?
some of the different comments people can make. So you can make it right. You can go right in here and add a comment by there's usually like a little plus where you can add comment right in the code, pointing out things that and then you can reply and just have a little thread right within the code.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for this stuff? Okay, one last little thing while I have the screen on my screen is that for Slack, just to keep things organized, I'm saying this because I didn't realize this before, that you could have pins until Collab Lab. So at the top, we'll just keep pinned this meeting info, some of the basic things that that were added at the beginning in case you want quick links to all of the various resources we need. And then we'll keep every week rotating the new thread. So basically, this is to help keep organized and also so that people don't get like hundreds of pings. So when you're working this week, try to keep all your work within each of your respective threads. And that way, it's easier for you to have like a documentation of what you've been working on, but it's also easier for us to kind of look in and see if we can help in some way, or if you have questions, you can point us to things more easily. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about Slack stuff, let us know.
Yeah. Anything else?
Sorry, this ran a little over. We just wanted to make sure you guys were set up for the week. And you should be, I assigned everyone to their issues in Git, so you should have it, you should be linked now with your Git accounts.
Cool. All right, well, good luck everybody. Have a good week, and definitely, ask questions. We're around. We'll try to help as much as we can, and if we ever need to hop on a call and such. And then I think Sky will be doing the office hours this week, so then he will most likely throw up some times early in the week once he's available. It was great meeting everybody, and hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.